At last, some good news for Star Wars fans.
Hello there.
What up guys, thank you for watching Star Wars Comics, because today we have some juicy details about David Cornsweet. So Superman himself in the new DC installation, he has vehemently said, and now very recently in a Variety CNN interview, he said that he wants to play an X-Wing pilot in Star Wars in a future project.
This is where the fun begins.
And it's not out of the realm of possibility of DC and Marvel Star Wars to combine actors, for them to shuffle up, go up and down. And I know that Man of Tomorrow is going to start filming in 2026, but there are some places where you can clearly see David Cornsweet fitting in, at the very least, as a small role. By the way, if you don't know, right here on YouTube, you can just go and search for David Cornsweet Star Wars, and you can get this video, David Cornsweet being the biggest Star Wars fan, for 7.5 minutes. It's so funny, it's so great, and it shows you the passion that he has, especially for the original trilogy and the prequels, which immediately tells you what kind of a Star Wars fan he is. It shows you that he is an OG fan. Can you imagine him playing an X-Wing pilot alongside, let's say, Mara Jade makes a comeback, and a strong man and a strong woman doing a great Star Wars movie?
Do it.
And this is why I'm frustrated with Disney. This is why I'm frustrated with Lucasfilm, with everybody, because they just keep missing the point. And we keep talking about flops and them missing the earnings that they have expected, especially in 2025. Superman did okay. It did great, but not amazing. And Fantastic Four was the same. So this is why Star Wars needs an invigoration, and it needs David Cornsweet, a die-hard fan who's also Superman, to play a Jedi Knight or perhaps an X-Wing pilot. You go to the box office right now, and you see a mediocre showing of fandom. So fans are going the first opening weekends, giving their money, and then weekend 2 comes by, and just it's a steep drop-off. So basically what's happening is that fans literally, as we've talked about for years and years, showing their frustration and complaints with their own wallets. And this, guys, if you look at it, has kind of been made clear with Star Wars Celebration 2025. So in that celebration, what did we get? We got some guests that we've seen before, some new guests, most notably Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling. They showed the new logo and talked about Star Wars Starfighter, a movie that is going to be coming out very soon after Mandalorian and Grogu. So Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, all of them talked about what can we expect from Mandalorian and Grogu. I've said previously that we have a schism in Lucasfilm between Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni. So what's Dave Filoni doing? Dave Filoni is taking the canon that was previous to Disney. So the canon, the EU of George Lucas and him. Don't forget that Dave Filoni was the guy who ingratiated all the Legends material back into canon with his show Star Wars Rebels, with The Mandalorian now. So a lot of stuff has made it into canon thanks to Dave Filoni. What has Kathleen Kennedy done? Kathleen Kennedy, as I understand their roles right now, she is only looking for new opportunities to work with new directors. She said this in an interview herself. She said that we're in a perfect position to just lend out Star Wars, lend out the Star Wars IP to anybody who has a story to tell. I'm interested in working with those people creating new projects.
What?
She's literally telling you why the fans are so frustrated today, because you have a schism. You have Dave Filoni, who is respecting what is there and trying to expand on it. There is a lot of material. If it wasn't, how could Dave Filoni have come up with The Mandalorian? How can he and George have come up with The Clone Wars? This is a totally different genre outside of the movies. And now he is making his first own movie in Mandalorian and Grogu. So expanding on an original idea, but in-house, not going outsourcing out of it. New original ideas that basically will just tarnish Star Wars. It has been already proven that the true fans of Star Wars were the original ones who worked at Lucasfilm with George Lucas closely. These are passionate fans that want to create and expand Star Wars, while all these other types like J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, we know the nightmare fuel that they brought into Star Wars. It wasn't a collaborative effort at all. They just did what they wanted, and the sequel trilogy as a result suffered so badly that it's incoherent. If you go back and watch the sequel trilogy, it's an embarrassment. It's just an embarrassment. There's nothing more to add or to say to that. So let's set aside the fact that Kathleen Kennedy doesn't understand how to move on in the future with Star Wars. Now we have the diminishing returns of Fantastic Four and kind of Superman. The Superman movie is okay, is doing okay in the box office, but it wasn't what, the first movie in your relaunched franchise was supposed to be. It definitely is not going to be a billion-dollar movie, which these studios have come accustomed to being. Alright, so Bob Iger just recently came out in regards to the Fantastic Four movie and it not doing so well. He was kind of forced to come out and say, the more we can find and develop original property, the better. Of course, we are developing original property under the 20th Century banner and under the Searchlight banner, and look, you could even argue that Marvel continues to mine its library of characters for original property. Even though, for instance, there have been Fantastic Four movies before, we kind of consider the one we did an original property in many respects, because we're introducing these characters to the people who are unfamiliar with them. Fantastic Four First Steps successfully launched this important franchise into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Classic Bob Iger, baby, a nothing burger. He didn't really say a lot, but if you read between the lines, this is what he is saying. So the Fantastic Four First Steps did. He is right. It did successfully launch. As I said in the beginning of the video, this is an illusion. What is happening now is that these are no longer pop culture movies, and we're getting to the basics of the problem. I don't think they can ever go back to that because the leadership lacks in imagination and they can't understand what the problem is. Why aren't people flocking to it? Marvel movies and Star Wars movies especially have completely lost their mojo. It's gonna be really interesting to see what Dave Filoni does with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, because let's not forget, in 2026, when Mandalorian and Grogu comes out, it's gonna be, since 2019, it's gonna be 7 years since a Star Wars movie was released. If we compare Revenge of the Sith, for example, with The Force Awakens, that's 10 years, from 2005 to 2015. It's kind of there, it's kind of in that area. Not 10 years, but 7 years is a good enough gap with no movies in the theater. So let's see what The Mandalorian and Grogu does before we judge what Star Wars come back. The problem is that even if The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out, Kathleen Kennedy being still there, she is planning to do all sorts of non sequitur movies. Movies that go back 25,000 years at the beginning of the Jedi Order, while Dave Filoni is making movies after Return of the Jedi. It's completely baffling to me how there's no connectivity. It's just a mishmash of movies. Whoever wants to come and do whatever they like, and this is my frustration right now. But I think this idea might have finally been scrapped thanks to Bob Iger coming out and literally acknowledging a kind of a stumbling. He is trying to save face, saying that there have been Fantastic Four movies in the past. Maybe that's why this was a successful launch, but it's not going to be the biggest Marvel movie in the franchise. The problem is he sees the writing on the wall. First weekend, everybody's going to go and see it. The fandom, the real fans. And then nobody's going to go watch because you need the regular the regular people. The people who are not crazy fans, but will just go watch a movie because it's funny. It's interesting. This is why Deadpool and Wolverine worked. It's because Deadpool is a hilarious character to the normies. You have fans and you have normies flocking together. Wolverine, a classic character. Since decades and decades, people know about it. Hugh Jackman coming back to play Wolverine again. So, two classic characters coming back in a hilarious kind of action comedy, and it just serves the normies more so than the fans. You have something for the fans and something for the normies. This is how you get the big bucks. And by what I've read, what Dave Filoni has said about The Mandalorian and Grogu, I think he is going back to that. He's going back to the classics, where it isn't just about lore and just ultimate fans coming to watch the movie, knowing everything, how it connects to the universe, but it's just going to be also about regular folk that come into the cinema, enjoy the movie, go out and say, okay, that was fun, that was a good movie,